good morning, good people. Today is Thursday, March 12th, 2026. We're almost halfway through the month. Ugh. Okay, well, it's Thursday, big day. This is my final class in my graduate program in pastoral ministry, the final class, 2.5 years later. Now what? Okay, good. So the adventure continues. And I think that's a good thing. So, all right, we have a good show, a big show. We have a really big shoe. This is Department of Career Services. My name is Edward Bevilacqua, trying to stifle a sneeze. And we'll see. I don't know. I kind of feel it coming. It's right up there on the eyeballs. And let's see. Yeah. So this is the 12th of March, 2026. Department of Career Services are, so that means it's Thursday, so it's day 4, 3 in our neuroscience-oriented approach to success. All right. Week 3, outside my school size kingdom. How do I get people to help me on my adventure, on my journey through this life? That's the focus. Today's theme is magical science. Interesting, magical science. That's also interesting because when you say magic is stuff that's not really magic. It's prestidigitation, sleight of hand, it's things like that. So the magical science. Okay, great. Let's look at the advice from an 80-year-old. Advice from an 80-year-old. Choose your life's mate carefully. From this one decision will come 90% of all of your happiness or misery. Yikes. Yeah, yikes-a-roo-me. Choose your life's mate carefully. I'm thinking about other things like previous life's mates, future life's mates. Bonk. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's go to Seth Godin. Henry Ford knew how to drive. He also understood the process of organizing a plant to build a car. Scott Belsky knows how to use Photoshop and remembers what it was like to run a small business. And Sarah Jones knows exactly what is required to be on stage alone in a crowded theater. The world keeps changing faster than ever, and leading our team and our career requires us to do things we didn't used to know how to do, i.e. learning. In essence, the CEO of every organization of every size is more incompetent than ever before. It's not enough to know how to use the product and have empathy for customers. Are you making decisions about AI, supply chain, vendor management, the sales pipeline, or employee health? It's hard to wing it if you haven't flown before. And now most of what CEOs do, even for companies of 1 or 2 people, has little to do with the actual product or service on offer. An alternative is to freak out, to bury your head and hope for the best. The other is to use the system to learn about the system. Use the system to learn about the system. Instead of winging it, find the time to learn enough to make good decisions and to understand the tools well enough to benefit from hiring people to use them. Because that's what CEOs make. They make decisions. Find the time to learn enough to make good decisions and to understand the tools well enough to benefit from hiring people to use them. Okay. Mental. Always be learning. A, always be, B, C, learning. Always be learning. A, B, C. Okay, all right. All righty then. Let's talk about where we are, where we're going. Where we are is day 4 of week 3. What that means is we're finding out, we're learning how to bond with people, which basically means to get people to see the world the way we see it. Because if I see the world the way you see it, and you say, I have an idea, that transfers to me to mean what? I have an idea too. I see what you see. I agree with you. We have bonded. Last night at an event, they gave a guy a piece of string and said, now break that string. Psh, easy. Then they said, now, and they gave him a rope and said, here's a bunch of strings connected together in a rope. Break that. And of course, it was impossible. Couldn't do it. There's no way. So that's the idea here in week 3 is we learn to bond with people. We bond to people. We get people to see the world the way we see it. And then we will do things. If I have a story or you have a story, we will cooperate flexibly in large numbers. As Yuval Harari said 2 weeks ago, a long on Thursday in week 1. Why do humans control the planet? Because we can work flexibly in large numbers. We can cooperate with one another. Why? Because we invent stories that we believe. How? Well, why? Because we can see the world in different ways. We can see it from an objective reality perspective and a fictional reality perspective. Other animals cannot do that. However, we met some PETA people yesterday. The PETA people who were protesting elephants at the zoo. So they're standing by the side of the road with holding signs that say, don't go in. Don't go in. And then what? Holding signs, don't go in, cruelty to animals. So apparently there's an elephant that's about 50 years old and they say it's being mistreated. That it doesn't like what it's doing. And these are radical people, meaning their minds they're not malleable. They're not able to modify their thinking. Well, they choose not to. I was just replaying in my mind some of the discussion with them. And the basic idea is we have no right to do that. If it was a child or a dog, we would not have a right to do it. These are animals, sentient animals that have feelings, and we have no right to do that to them, to force them. They're slaves. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to get into it. And one of the things I notice about people who are militant is they are not open to questioning whether they could be wrong. So it's a one-way. I'm not going to give you permission. We are not going to have a discussion of who's right or wrong. My thing is to convince you you're wrong. This is a one-way street. I'm going to control the conversation, and I have a toolbox full of tools to try to change your mind, but I'm not going to be open to a discussion of you changing my mind. So it's kind of an unfair fight. Most of the people I think they engage with have this idea that they can have a debate, a discussion. It's not a debate. It is an attempt to change the other person's mind. And that's okay, because we all have the ability to say, no, I'm not going to let you change my mind, or the ability to say, okay, I'm open to changing my mind, but they are not. So it's not two people going in with the same mindset in terms of, let's find truth. One knows absolute truth. One believes they know absolute truth, and the other is an object to be changed, to be molded, which is kind of a segue into day 4, week 3, the magical science of storytelling. The magical science of storytelling. So quick recap, 2-minute recap of where we are this week. Again, it's about bonding, getting other people to see the world the way you see it. Because if they do, and you say, I have this idea, they will say, I see it. And if you say, are you coming with me? Are you with me? They will say, yes, I will go with you. If people bond and you say, let's do this, they will do it. Why? Because you've bonded. You see the world the same way. That's our goal for the week. So David Logan on Monday said, well, join a tribe, which is people that have the same beliefs that you do in a particular area. Could be basketball, NBA, college basketball, could be whatever, religion. Join a tribe, nudge it forward. The act of nudging it forward means you're getting people to do what you want them to do. And then a little bit further. Okay. Join tribe, nudge forward. Cool. Okay. Well, how do I nudge them forward? Tuesday, Seth Godin gives us an answer. 4-step process. Find something to change, because you can't nudge them forward if you're going to have them do the same thing. Proceed. No. Hey, guys, find something to change. Look around, talk to people. Hey, what sucks around here? Observe, ask questions, find part of the status quo to change. Number 2, tell a compelling story. 3, hint, story, hint, Yuval Harari. 3, connect the true believers. And equally importantly, ignore the non-true believers. Don't argue with them. Don't try to change their mind. Don't do what PETA does. They're trying to change people's minds. If you want to bond with people, we're not trying to change their mind. It's better to find people who believe what you believe. And I think Peter runs afoul when they get in debates and discussions and arguments trying to change people's minds rather than rallying the people who believe what they believe. Next, lead them. Who's coming? So step 3, who's coming with me? Find the people who believe what you believe. And then, okay, now here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. That's the 4 steps from from Seth Godin. And you say, okay, well, you gave me a hint when you said tell a compelling story. How do I tell a compelling story? And here was yesterday, Simon Sinek tells us, here's how you tell a compelling story. The story is about why we need to change the status quo. That's it. Why we need to change the status quo. Not how we're going to change it, not what we're going to change, why we're going to change it. The how and the what come after you say, who's coming with me? And they say, me. Or you say, who's coming with me? And they're inclined to come with you. And then perhaps you can drop in a how we're going to change it or what we're going to change. But it's the who's coming with me is very much of who's coming with me. The leadership is the how and the what. The compelling story is why we need to change the status quo. Because if you get people to believe, to bond with you and believe, yeah, we need to change the status quo. If they agree, yep, we need to change the status quo. So if you say, who's coming with me to change the status quo, they will come with you. How are we going to, you say, who's coming with me? And they say, well, what are we going to do? We'll figure that out together. We're smart. We're resilient. We'll figure that out. If you're bonded and you say, we'll figure that out together, people will say, I will go with you. Okay. Now, this is today. This is Thursday. This is the magical science of storytelling. So this is a way to help bond. And that is to use neurotransmitters, what we learned about last week. How to get people to feel what you want them to feel in order to bond with you. So once again, like last week, when we learned from Simon Sinek about the different neurotransmitters, the different chemicals, the magical science of storytelling is if you can release particular neurotransmitters, cocktails, if you can do that in other people, if you can make them excited, happy, kumbaya-ish, if you can do that, that's the science. Well, it got me. If you can do that, if you release those chemicals, people will bond with you easier. So David Phillips says, tell a story before the story, where the story, the pre-story, the booster story, is just to get people to feel the way you want them to feel when you tell your compelling story. If you want them to feel mad, sad, happy, whatever, tell a story about that. And that's what Simon Sinek does. Watch Simon Sinek on his good speeches. He tells a story that's unrelated. And it's quite often about military things, about heroism. Why? Because we want to take action. We want to change the world. Okay? So that's what Simon Sinek does. So quickly, David Phillips says, okay, there's 4 things. Number 1, believe all good storytellers are made, they're not born. 2, catalog your stories, write them down and say, this story gets people excited. This story gets people sad. This story gets people to feel courageous. Index your stories with the emotions you want them to do, and then choose the story you want to choose the story to go with the compelling story. That's it. Tomorrow is day 5. come back. We will see you here. And I am going to say cut.